right, so with our handsome Mr. B, sorry I'm out of range for a second. I want to try a little bit with working some of our stay positions while also working with some leave-its. So he has gotten very comfortable with going to his target bed, working with some of these stays. So I'm going to try to help him work some harder venues and see how he does. So we're going to first warm up with our stay position on our dog bed. We were doing it earlier just on the floor. Again, I'd recommend to rotate so he's comfortable with targets, with no targets, with different types of textures or sights and sounds. So we're helping to generalize the gorgeous stay position. So again, we're going to tell him to stay. I may have spaced while I was blabbing. So while he's working this stay, we're going to do a little bit with some distractions off in the distance. Nice. And then I want to include some of those leave-its in a few moments. So remember with leave-its, like I mentioned a little earlier, for some of the other boys when they were working with a leave-it, and that was Mr. S was working a bit with some of those leave-it practice today, is we want to make sure our leave-its are always off limits. So if you were to tell him wait and then go grab something, that would be perfect. Otherwise, leave-its will always be off limits because they're going to be either dangerous or yucky or something we don't want to engage with for safety reasons. So it's just a no-no. So right now, I'm just meandering, feeding Mr. Handsome for working this lovely stay. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to grab for some of my trash. And I dropped one already without trying. So I have just this old bag and it has some yucky, once upon a time, full acorns, but because they've been dropped so many times, they're kind of powderized. So what I want to try to do is while he's working a stay, I'm going to drop the item and I'm going to feed him for holding his stay position. So if, for example, this is hard for him, I want to create more value in not checking it out by feeding heavily while he's in his stay. If, for example, this was really challenging for him, I wouldn't make this so, chewing is optional. I wouldn't make it so hard to start. I would help him by having the leave it item and plant it as we were going to practice. So, but right now, tossing the item. If he showed interest where he was going to go, oh, that was my bad. I dropped my snack, not him wiggling. That was me dropping my goodies. There we go, sir. So again, stay. So operator error does happen. So here's my no-no item. I could then practice dropping household items that would be off limits. Hand towel, maybe your keys, maybe a slipper. And you start to help generalize that while your babe is vegging or doing their own thing or they're on their target, that leave it items could still be around, but still to leave them and disengage from it. So again, here's my trash again. Nice. If he showed more interest in it, I would have said the leave it cue, but right now he's doing a really nice job disengaging from it and just feeding for the ignoring of the trash. Yes. He's like, hold up. Oh, there we go. Good job. So if he goes and resets himself up, I might reinforce him for making that really nice choice. So hopefully you can see the leave it item. Hopefully I'm not dropping it too far out of range. So right here, he's starting to realize that, okay, crazy snack lady throws something on the floor. If I ignore it or I check in with her or I stay in my spot, all the good stuff is happening. So this must be the better option. So as opposed to scaring him or scolding him or yelling at him for going and trying to reach the no-no item, I'm actually reinforcing the thing I would rather, which means that becomes the skill he offers instead of the failure. So right here, nice. What a smart boy. And I might rotate, I might change up the leave it item in a moment. Chewing is still really challenging. Oh my gosh, did you get it okay? You got it? Okay, now it's stuck in his jowl. Gorgeous. Yes. So we don't have to intimidate the puppies to teach them or to scare them. I'm not saying this is what you guys are doing. There's a lot of people that think the only way to teach a dog what not to do is by hurting them. And the problem there is through associations, your pup just doesn't understand why now something either hurts or is intimidating or is scary. They might think, gee, maybe they have an issue with resource guarding and they have a hard time sharing. And now they're getting grumpy and agitated. Remember too that when you do, for example, correct a puppy, you're also still not teaching them what to do instead. So you may just be scaring them, which then again creates more of a rift in the relationship and they get more overwhelmed while near us. And then through associations, the things that we're trying to teach them to ignore might be the thing that also hurts them. So if, let's say, every time they saw something and like we were to zap them, the problem there is through that, they're going to think that that thing that they already thought was hard or spooky or challenging or too exciting now also hurts them. So we're going to, the boys are singing for a second. So right here, so if that one was a little harder, we're going to try again with the down. I'm going to feed him for that. I'm going to tell him to. He's like, no, it looks amazing. So we're going to try this down. Yes, nice job. So we're going to tell him to stay. So if this one's a little bit harder, we are kind of upping the ante for difficulty because we're including novelty that is something he hasn't worked with yet for this one. So we're going to drop the item. Nice. Beautiful. So if there's ever moments where I try something and the puppies don't do as well, I bring it back to a level where they were succeeding, or I sort of make it a little bit softer and try again. This is very pretty. Nice. Yes. Oh my goodness, the wild little monkeys. They're probably doing some crazy WrestleMania, but again, within their little zones. Yes, very nice. So if Mr. B is ever trying something like this at home and you try a novel item and it's too hard, do it while, let's say, one of you has the leash and one of them is the demo person of dropping things like we do in class where I'm dropping stuff. Because if it's all by yourself and it's too hard and your puppy just rushes the item and grabs it, that's kind of how we want to avoid working with leave-its. We don't want our puppies to think that leave it just equals rush and grab the thing and now it turns into keep away. So I would say for homework, try a little bit with helping to generalize some of these skills by building in novelty or other distractions in the back burner. If there's already enough going on in the environment, maybe you don't have to make it harder like I did with leave it items, but it could be something to give a try to. So, but I think the men, he's dripping his drool down his cheeks onto his chest. So before the men keep rocking and rolling with their gorgeous skill set, they're all doing a really nice job. If though you guys feel there's other topics that I've either missed or haven't touched base on yet, chewing is something we're eventually going to get good at. But reach out to me if there's something that, again, I haven't quite worked on yet and you'd like me to kind of dive into. But we'll probably give it a day for Mr. B. Let the men have some WrestleMania time before they have to go home, and we'll call it a day for all the beauties. But Mr. B is also doing a stellar job, so we'll give him a little break. Tired boys.